All right, welcome back to the fallen tree. We're back at the cabin. Today we're gonna start working on the siding. See, I got the front sided in the last episode, I think, and we're gonna work on, my goal is to get this side done before the winter here. And we're gonna get started. First, we're gonna end up doing the soffits, which are underneath the eaves here. And then we're gonna go ahead and trim out the corners, trim out the windows, and add some siding. I think I'm gonna do a combination of lap siding and board and batten on this side. Okay, so as we start trimming out for the siding, we're gonna start at the top and work our way down with this piece of soffit. It's about 10 inches wide, and we're going to keep it tight to the front edge of the fascia because later we're going to be adding a freeze board on the back side that's going to cover up any gaps that we have. All right, we got the soffit up. The next step's going to be to put on these corner boards. Now for this, you can't really see it there, but I notched up towards the top where my siding on the front overlaps, right about where my hand is there. So the front piece is going to be 2 pieces, but this side's going to be 1. And what I'm doing is I'm just flushing it out with the front right now. And then I'm going to cut a piece for the front side, and we're just going to lap it over and flush it up with the edge. So this is the piece I'm cutting for the bottom. I'm measuring up to the notch just to get that lower section that I need first, and then we'll overlap it with the top piece. After we get the corner up and completed here, it'll be time to put on the freeze board. The freeze board is simply a trim piece that goes underneath the soffit, and will create a clean transition between the siding and the soffit. The freeze board on this upper portion is actually the top of the window trim. And that's where we're moving next, is to the upper window and then to the lower windows. So, as you can see, you'll see some white around the window right there. That's ice and water I'm using for added protection in case any moisture gets back in the joints there. And I also keep in mind that water is going to take the path of least resistance. So as I'm trimming out a window, I always start at the top and let that overhang the side pieces. The bottom, I cut usually the width of the window and let the side pieces come down past that. That way, if any water does want to travel, it's traveling to the end points and then dripping from there. So as I said at the beginning of the video, I'm going to do a combination between lap siding and board and batten here. At the top of the lower windows here is where I'm going to put the transition. So the top of the trim piece there is going to go straight across the top of the windows, and above that's going to be the lap siding, and below it's going to be the board and batten. So I'm using my line laser to mark the top edge of the trim piece that I'm going to be using. But the one issue I have here is due to the fact that I used windows. I've got kind of a hodgepodge of windows, and these ones have J channel. And the 1 1/8 inch boards that I'm using for the trim are going to be too thick here. So I brought the planer back out, and we're going to make them the correct thickness. But I'm only going to be planing one side of these because I want the rough look on the outside of the cabin. Once we go to the inside, I'm probably going to want that smooth finish, but we want it to look rustic on the outside. Simply amazing, just by sanding or planing a piece of wood, how much beauty it can bring out. This piece of Spalding maple here just looks great. It's a shame we're going to be putting it on the back side. So we're going to be using the same process here, trimming out these windows. You can see I added the ice and water again. We're starting at the top edge. This top edge is going to continue from corner to corner as a transition piece, and then we'll trim out the rest of these windows in the same fashion we did the upper, except we're sliding them into this J channel as we do it. Alright, this window's almost complete. As you can see, we ran the sides long again. That way any water running down has a path of least resistance to get out and not get trapped. Okay, we got the corners on, the freeze board, the soffit underneath the eaves, the windows trimmed out, both upper and lower. We got the soffit up there, along with the freeze board. Everything's kind of trimmed out. So on to the next step. We're gonna make some battens for the lower section. So we're gonna take this log and trim it on the Woodland Mills sawmill we've got here. If you'd like to check out the full process on cutting up a log, check out some of my other videos. And don't forget to subscribe while you're at it. But we've got it all canted out, and I made some 2x out of this. We're gonna go 2 inches wide and a 1/2 inch thick. I'm cutting them 3 at a time, as you can see on the mill. Adding the battens is a relatively simple process. We're just going to measure them, cut them, and install them. Now that I've got them measured and cut, the first one I'm going to take a level here and just make sure it's plumb and covers the joint at the same time. Now that I've got the first one installed, as I install the second one, I'm simply going to take a measurement off the one that I've already got installed plumb, nail it in, and continue the same process as I go across this side of the cabin. Okay, I've got the board and battens on this side of the cabin. It's getting late, so we're going to have to do the lap siding another day. But I think it's looking pretty good. Alright, well, we're back another day, bringing down some lap siding in the cabin. The first thing we're going to do is over this transition board, we're going to put a piece of drip edge. The purpose of the drip edge is simply to channel the water away from the side of the building a little bit. From that point, it will drip down and hopefully hit the ground before hitting the siding. So as I'm installing the lap siding, I'm putting it at a 4.5 inch lap. I slowed down the video here a little bit just to show you. Behind each piece of siding, by the corners, I'm adding a bead of sealant. So this won't be visible as you're looking at it from the outside, but we'll add an extra layer of protection. As water runs down the corners, it doesn't get behind the siding itself and rotted out from behind. The other important part that I don't think I caught on video is at the joints. I'm cutting a piece of roofing felt paper about 6 by 8 inches, and I'm putting it at each joint. That way, if any moisture wants to go down behind at the joints, it hits this roofing felt paper, runs down it, and then down the face of the next piece of siding. Okay, there it is. That side's complete. We got the lap siding up the top, the board and batten down at the bottom, and I'll include a link in the description of how I made the lap siding. It's pretty simple if you got the mill. Here's a couple other photos of the upper part of the other side, and we're going to finish out underneath the porch this year, hopefully, if the weather cooperates with us. It's been quite rainy this fall. So if you like this video, click subscribe, like it, share it with your friends, and let me know what you think. I'll see you on the next part of the journey. Till then.